Should we scoot over?
No, you guys are good.
Okay. It's just so tall.
Nancy. No, let's see. Just to make sure.
No, it's fine.
Just to make sure. No. Okay, I think we're good. Think we're on. Okay. All right. You know, it's funny. Of course, I'm running the orange carpets and everything, and I'll do photos on my phone as well for the photo galleries we do on FilmsGoneWild, and I'll do close-ups, right? And oftentimes it's some tall motherfucker, and I'm like going, really? What?
I mean, I'm not that tall.
It's like, jeez.
This guy's like 7'3".
Before I start the interview, I'll do it funny. So years ago, I had a documentary, and it was about models. And so I had this model on my carpet, and she was 6 foot in heels. And I turned to one of my volunteers. I said, "You're going to take her down the carpet because I'm not going to look like a fucking leprechaun."
Yeah, I know. I feel like that around this guy. This guy's like 7 inches taller than me. It's like, I almost had to change the character in the movie. Where I'm like, oh, this guy's too tall. He's like a model, a male model. Like, this guy's supposed to be like this swirly little guy. It's hilarious.
All right, now we'll start.
Okay, now start.
Yeah,
here we go.
Although you've seen all that, because we're not going to cut that out.
Oh, yeah.
No, this is not part of it. This is FilmsGoneWild.com. My name is John Wildman. I'm the editor-in-chief of Films Gone Wild. And we are currently at Dances with Films LA, the Chinese Theater, Ovation on Hollywood and Highland. And this one, we're going to talk about a film called Tales from the Crypto. Very funny, very cool film. I can't wait to talk about this. Introduce yourself, please.
I am Marcus Niehaus, writer-director.
I'm Aryaan Ohri, lead actor.
Okay. Also in the film, let's not let him shorten.
I was gonna shorten. I was skipping over.
Yeah. Okay. Our audience has not seen the film yet.
Okay.
So introduce them to the film.
Okay. Tales from the Crypto is about a young man from India who's a computer programmer, and he trying to pay for student loans and his family's loan back home to put him through college. He gets involved in the world of, as you guessed it, crypto trading.
Yes, he does. Here's the thing. I was watching this, and of course, as a fellow filmmaker, I'm like watching, going about the challenges of doing the storytelling with this, which we're going to talk about, but also enjoying it. And I don't have a fucking clue about what crypto is, as most people. I didn't do it. Right? And and so I'm also like looking at that as a potential challenge, as to do it. So we have a couple of films actually kind of deal with this. Yours and another one. And it's going, okay, all right, and I'm enjoying it. I'm really digging it, and almost on the technical side, in spite of myself, because of what I know you had to deal with in terms of of filming it and doing it and not make it boring as fuck. In a lot of ways. So good on you.
Thank you.
Pull that
Thank
off.
you. It was very, very difficult. It really was.
Well, and we'll just talk about elephant sitting in his laptop in the room immediately, which is scene after scene of guys sitting in front of their laptops or their desktops and talking to each other.
Yeah.
And so I imagine
was it captivating? Did you like it?
Well, no. That's the thing is that you. But I'm like imagining you on the set and the DP going, okay, again? Right? Do I shoot it with a Dutch angle this time?
Yeah.
What do I do?
Well, no, I actually, because I had 2 DPs actually, Aaron Garcia, who shot 70% of this movie by himself. And, the first time we sat down, one of the crypto traders, I think he was first, but he's like, oh, we're going to do this angle. I'm like, we're going to stick with this angle because I had to make it, 2 reasons. Make it not confusing, because if you were to sort of cut around and someone's at a different angle, it had to be like not confusing, And so I really had to make this movie basically really kind of seamless. And I actually didn't even know if it was going to work cutting from face to face to face to face, same angle. But thankfully it did, in my opinion. But the other reason is it's a comedy, and in my opinion, sometimes, all these movies look so good nowadays that you see in the theaters and stuff like that. But even when it's a comedy, it's shot like really cool and stuff. I wanted to scale this movie back and shoot it like more like Office Space, or even like
or Kevin Smith style.
You think, yeah, Kevin, yeah. This movie's closer to Clerks in some ways than it is like Wolf of Wall Street or something like that, or even like a modern comedy. They're shot with like handhelds and stuff. And I'm like, you got to just shoot this, especially when we're in front of the cryptos. It's got to be straight on. Yeah,
Right.
So.
Well, that's the thing, and I'm like going, I could foresee you talking to fellow filmmakers or friends and going, what are you thinking? No, what? That's going to be a film?
Yeah.
What? Right? And yet it works. It works, right?
Thankfully.
Yeah. Now the other thing I want to talk to you about, we're talking about acting now, because you play a dick initially.
It was not hard. It was not hard. Yeah. Just throw myself into the movie.
But your character has an arc, and comes around, not to spoil anything, but I was like laughing also at that, like going, oh, this is a classic character, and I'm like going, is he gonna fucking warm up or not?
Yeah.
Kind of deal. So as a director yourself, talk about your approach on that.
Well, I did in those scenes. I did sort of. I'm like, hey, can you just sort of? I'll give you like an open thing to just sort of direct me, and that was a huge mistake. No, I'm kidding. No, it was not. He was very nice, and he actually gave me a few moments when I thought I should do something, and he just nudged me. He's like, I think you should just go a little bit in that direction. So, but I mean, most of it, I had the idea of what I wanted. I really didn't want to play. I didn't think about me playing this character in the beginning. When I was writing it, I'm like, oh, this is a great character, like this. But I thought a lot of the humor started from that character. And I started to go through the lines. I'm like, who am I going to get to play this? So I started to go through the lines. I'm like, well, they have to say it just like this. And I would start to because I'm like, I wrote it. I would keep saying it over and over. I said these lines like 1,000 times over and over as I was writing. And I'm like, it's got to be kind of said exactly like this to get the humor across. And then after a while, I was like, should I do this? And I even was like, no, don't. But I'm like, well, maybe I should. So.
But and I oftentimes have that myself, where you especially with comedy, especially with nuanced stuff, and you've written, you do, and it's not like no one can perform, but you also know, yeah, but for that punch to hit, for that thing to hit the right place, they've got to say it like that, and man, it will drive you up the wall if they can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, you've got all these actors, and they're all so. I mean, I had like 35 actors in this movie, and they're all so different. They have their different approach. But with most of them, I'm like I said before, like I almost try to keep the comedy in this sort of box, and it's got to kind of fit in there. This is not like a very absurd comedy. It's got to almost be very natural, So that's kind of the approach I took with directing each actor.
Let's talk about you. All right. There's a lot of film that's just your fucking face. That's what we had to go on, right? And it's not just you doing a thing, but the service that you're providing is the growth of your character, learning, and then surpassing, like the student surpassing the teacher and doing this. But it's really a lot of just your head, like exhibiting that. So as an actor doing that, and of course, you're never able to shoot. I'm going to guess not in order, right? Because we never can, And so as actors, what happened right before this? Where am I? And so that adds another little hurdle to it. But talk about your process to get that straight, and and again, not just do whatever was on that page, but also in the back of your head going, I need to hit this hurdle a little bit. I need to do this.
Right. So I think you're absolutely right. Shooting it out of order is always a challenge. I mean, it is incumbent upon us as actors to orient ourselves every time we're going into the scene. Okay, so that's part of my process, which is what happened the moment before, what happened the scene before, where is his headspace at? So you're coming into the scene in that headspace. For example, there's a time when Ravi's talking to his parents and that's a little upset, as usual, And so going into the next scene with that, first of all, the writing made it very easy. And secondly, just going, with the prep, right, going into, this is where he is. And then letting the scene kind of take over. Because then you always transition into these funny moments or this little, what, because a lot of the comedy comes from him truly believing in his circumstances, just experiencing his circumstances. His circumstances they're new for him, and they're funny, they're all new. So that prep was very important. And I think in terms of I gotta hit this, really speaking, it was a big help for that because they're his words and this film is really in his voice. And what I love about this comedy is that it's a comedy with heart, right? So for it being in his voice, I got a lot of input on him for that kind of box that he was talking about, pushing the comedy up a little bit, And Ravi's the kind of person you've seen that he's just a wide-eyed person who doesn't want to take up a lot of space, and he's experiencing everything for the first time. So, pushing that up to where it's funny as well was something that helped me out a lot as well.
Yeah, give me the microphone. This is about you, so this is gonna give you a big head again. But no, I had to pick an actor that could do that because I knew it was going to be extremely challenging, and not once in the entire filmmaking process did I have to worry about your lead actor. I'm like, this guy's going to be on screen in every single scene.
Yeah.
And I had no worries. It was like, out of all the worries I had in the film, I even told my wife, I'm like, the one worry I don't have is Aryaan. He's like, this guy, he preps so much, he has every line down, even though in most scenes I didn't know a single line going into it on my character. But this guy, he's such a professional, and he's such a good actor, I was like, I had no worries. I'll let you finish that. I just wanted to give you a big ego.
Dude, I don't think I can talk
That's great. Well, I mean, and listen, let's face it, the Ravi character is a puppet.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And and as an actor, if you're the puppy, then you have to pay service to that. Because otherwise, if we see the gears turning in your head, then we go, oh, that's a performance, right? But if we don't, then we go, we're watching out for him. We're watching out for that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, now let's talk about the other big challenge in this film, which is fucking crypto. Who knows even what this is? Or what's going on other than a small subset of people, and they don't go to the movies, or they rip them and watch them another way. So you have to convey what is happening in a way that we don't fall into a techno universe. And then we lose the comedy and everything. We're trying to keep track of what the numbers mean or how this goes. So you have to dumb it down for us, yet keep it real, and then also stay on the story.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
It was incredibly challenging. Even during the writing process, I had to figure out people are going to come into this. 99% of them aren't going to know anything about crypto, and going out of it, the same amount of people are not going to know anything about crypto. So it's really not important, but it is a character. So I had to figure out what to show. It's like numbers going up, numbers going down. Crypto explaining, how much do they need to understand? They're not going to, I need to just convey the emotion behind each movement or each scene. And actually, even in the editing room, I had to, I was like, well, we don't need to see what's going on the screen. But in the editing room, some of those times people were like, my few friends that saw this film that were just kind of like, oh, I'm like, how's it going? How does it look? They're like, I need to see what they're doing. And so I actually had to add more crypto stuff and figure out times. There's one moment where he's looking at his Discord channel. It's like the end of the first montage. And he's smiling at the camera, and somebody's like, well, what's he smiling at? And I'm like, he's just smiling because he has friends now, But people are like, I need to see that. And my wife was like, yeah, I need to see what he's seeing. And it took me a full week to figure out just what was on the computer. And it's just like saying it's like his buddies that he just met. He's like, oh, good night, friends. And it was like, it took one full week of me figuring that out. I had a bunch of iterations. And once I locked in on that, my wife was like, that looks good. And my co-editor was like, that's it, that's good. So it's basically I just had to find the emotion behind the trades, versus what's actually happening. Right.
Ravi.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes, I was just gonna say that I think part of that is the writing. It just makes you lean in. Right? What is happening? I want to be involved in the characters. I want to be involved in what's going on. And I didn't know anything about crypto going into the film. And everything I needed was in the script. I didn't need to learn all that much, even though I did talk to him and get the skin of what the heck we're doing. But it is a testament to the writing because it does make you lean into your part. Even as I was watching the rough draft just so long ago, and I can't wait to see the film myself. It is that thing of like, oh, I want to be.
It's actually okay.
It's not bad. Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
I wasn't sure. Good. But it is that thing of like I want to be part of their group. Like they're kind of cool, and I want to go on this volatile adventure with them and see what's going on. So congrats.
Thank you.
Well, and you bring something up that also, and I've had this, like watching an edit of a short film of mine and having somebody over my shoulder, and you can feel the energy of losing them. And you're going, it's only 8 minutes long. How much more can I cut if I'm losing? Right? But you can feel that energy. And just as you're saying, like even if people are just telling you directly, like you can go, it's not. I know what I want people to get, but they're not getting it. So what can I do? And I bet you I have more than a few of those moments, like ferreting out stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you say an 8-minute film. I mean, like, if you kind of go up the ladder of like, let's say like a Vine video, which is 5 seconds or whatever they used to be or whatever, and then and you kind of make a little short that's like 30 seconds long. It's usually like one joke or one, and people can make those really funny or really good. But once you start stepping up the ladder, even to like a short film, like you said, 8 minutes long, it starts to become really difficult to get the emotion to each scene, make it very clear to the audience. I keep bringing up my wife. I was talking to my wife last night, and like you need to figure out the emotion, and you have to just kind of figure out, like, are you understanding this? Is the audience understanding what's happening? I know I understand it, but Stephen King, when I read his book on writing, he's like, I give it to like 5 people, and my first question is like, does this make sense? And even like a short film, is really complicated. It starts to get very complicated, twists and turns. Like, am I on the same path that the lead characters on?
Absolutely, and you know that as you write stuff, you write something that is actually seriously funny. It's legit, but you're in the editing bay and you shot this thing and you go, I gotta take that chunk out.
Yeah.
It's funny, but the whole film is going to be better without this thing that is actually good.
Yeah.
And which is agonizing. But every filmmaker I talk to, I feel straight. Every film I talk to has agreed. But once you do that, and then you watch the playback after you're done, you're instantly relieved.
Yeah.
Even though you had that agonizing thing right before it.
Yeah. Well, I do have a benefit because not to brag, but my day job is an editor. I edit for I've edited 200 videos for Vogue and GQ and stuff. So I'm really good at just like ripping stuff out. And even in my own film, I'm like, you know what? I don't need that scene. Like I had a full scene of my character mostly talking about backstory and stuff like that. And that was probably the biggest chunk I took out of the movie. I'm like, I don't need to see this character, even if it's my face on the film.
And can I say, I actually fought him on that.
Yeah, he did. He wanted to keep
Dude,
it
I'm
in.
thinking of cutting this part. What do you think? I looked at it again. I was like, dude, don't cut this scene. I love it. And I think people are going to love it too, because it's that thing. He plays himself in the film.
Yeah.
But he's a super nice guy in real life, but in the film, it just doesn't start out that way. And I would have loved to see him just explicate on where he's coming from.
Yeah.
And the fact that we cut that hurt me probably more than hurt, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I thought it was all right, but sometimes you just have to figure out where things are. And I had to ask everybody else because he wanted to keep it in, but I'm like, I felt like it was a miscalculation in writing. So I'm like, if it had been earlier in the film, and I talked to another filmmaker who I had to watch it, and he's like, yeah, I could see taking it out. It's just a little late in the film to be getting into this. So it's kind of by committee too, when you I really have to trust other people's opinions. Right? I say, should I cut this out? And I ask him, my wife, 2 and 3 other filmmakers, and my co-editor and stuff. And if it kind of like, if they're all like agreeing to keep it in or all agreeing to keep it out, it makes it very easy. But if it's like a mix, then I'm like, okay, I have to decide that.
Well, again, I think it, for someone, again, as you actually astutely put, still have no idea what the fuck crypto is or anything. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I really enjoyed Ravi's journey. I was cheering for him the way that you would hope the hell that I'd be cheering for him. I just think it's well done.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hi.